The Joe Rogan Experience.
There's no way you can separate national security issues from this. The last time I was here, Joe, we talked about nuclear incidents where UFOs appear over nuclear missile facilities, missile bases. They disable those missiles. That's happened in our country. It's happened in Russia. I don't know if it's happened in China, but it's real. You could neutralize the entire nuclear arsenal with one of these machines. Now, that's real national security. It's so interesting that our government says, dismisses Project Blue Book because there's no threat to national security, and yet it clearly has national security implications if they can control our nuclear weapons. The friends of mine, as far up the food chain as I've gone, have said this: you can't tell your friends without telling your enemies. You can't tell part of this story because no one would ever be satisfied with part of it. You can't be halfway pregnant, you know.
So it's national security, and I can get with that. Like, I get that. I am for. I understand that explanation. There's just a step further that I'm not understanding yet.
Yeah.
But I understand the national security.
What do you mean by a step further?
Like what we were talking about before. Like, what is it that's so devastating? Because we get to that point with people sometimes. And what is it that's so devastating? Like, they're okay with us reporting on stuff, like as friends. Like, they're like, I'm not going to inhibit you in any way. George and I are in a weird position. So, of course, people are always trying to trick us. All the time, every day. Like major good tricks. They would love us to fuck up.
Like CGI video.
Sure. Like, how you send me stuff sometimes,
right,
and I'm
this?
trying to think about it. So imagine that on like a much deeper level, like trusted people that come to you with stuff and you just know it's a fucking trap, right? So I've been in that position numerous times. Now check this out. I think it's cool to say we have totally been warned, man, that as journalists, we are doing what is good for the public. So we can obtain and release things like the Baghdad Phantom, the Mosul Orb, like a bunch of these. So people leak stuff to me and George. And as journalists, we have to look at it and be like, does this endanger national security? Because these are from military platforms. So if it does, we do our best with like lawyers and everybody. We try to make sure we don't fuck up, right? And everybody knows we're patriots. We're cool, right? But he and I have been told numerous times the biggest worry they have is a foreign intelligence agency getting their hands on some of the weird madness that comes our way that we haven't been able to vet yet or to make sure for national security that it's okay. So people are cool with us as journalists in America reporting for the good of our country. But there is a real worry that other agencies outside of the U.S. might get some things that we haven't vetted yet properly. Did I explain that okay?
Yeah, I'll just add this, is that we were told earlier this year, and in fact the Department of Defense spokesperson announced it, there is a Department of Justice investigation into two of the images that we made public this year. That's kind of unsettling when you realize that there's a criminal investigation to figure out, not necessarily us, but at least how did it get into our hands.
And what was this image?
Well, there's a number. I mean, so in 2019, there was a swarm of UFOs over 10 Navy warships. George and I obtained...
Those are the pyramids?
So whatever shape they were, I don't even care. Check this out. This is the bigger point. In 2019, this thing happened. George and I obtained and released footage. That footage was radar footage, thermal footage, infrared footage, and deck camera, like normal video footage. People were missing the point. It's the first time in history that you have military footage on 4 different types of platforms or 4 different types of optics, corroborative visual evidence that go with the stories. It's like Commander Fravor, if he told you he saw the Tic Tac, that's one thing. But you also got a video from Commander Chad Underwood because he went up and filmed it. What we provided was 4 types of corroborative visual evidence over a warning area in a training zone, which we should talk about. So that type of now we have so much evidence to that in 2019, that swarm. So imagine if you're the DOD and George and I say, by the way, we're running a story and here's some footage. Do you want to comment on it? And they're like, we didn't have some of this footage. I'm like, what? Like, how did you not have your own footage? So that's already put us in a weird position with the Pentagon and the DOD. How do reporters get more information than they have on their own?
Did they demand your sources?
They can't do that. They would never do that. This is journalism in America. Come at me with that.
They'd like to
right?
know. They'd
Sure.
certainly like to know.
But that is a good job. Like, just to be clear for everybody, that's an important job, is to plug leaks. So if somebody's
Right.
going out with national security things like and selling them to Russia or to China, oh
Right.
fuck yeah. So they got a really important job. I wish them well on their job. But as journalists in America, we can report on this stuff. And as long as we don't hurt national security, we can report on this.